Okay, Disney's Secretariat is of course about the horse known as Secretariat. By far one of the greatest horses to have ever run. Period. Now of course, if you know the background of it, it does take away a little bit of some of the drama, because you can pretty much Google and find out which races, Secretariat won, which ones that he lost. But a lot of this is less about the racing and more about the drama that went on with the family that essentially kind of, I'll say by luck, got the horse. What they did was, well actually I'll go back to some of the beginning. It very much begins with Diane Lane's character. She's married, has the 4 kids. It's the fairly standard, like, 70s sort of lifestyle. She gets a phone call, and her mother's died. It's a Disney movie. The mother's like the first ones to go. She goes back there. Her father has kind of got dementia, and essentially owns, a horse farm. Well, she then spends bits and pieces of the next, several years living with her family and her husband, and then going back to the horse farm, trying to make sure, that they're getting, fed, all the bills are being paid, everything's going well. She gets around the point and actually starts to, break even. Of course, her husband and her brother are like, we thought the point was to get it stable enough to sell it, not to break even or to turn a profit, or to essentially try to raise a horse for racing. One of the things that Diane Lane's father in the movie had done is that the richest man essentially on the planet at that time, they flip a coin to decide, who would get the foals. Flips a coin, of course, he almost always won. So he goes to pick what he thinks would be the best foal, but principally like the lineage. Diane Lane knows the one he's going to pick, and he picks that one. And she knows she actually gets the more superior horse. The horse they refer to as Big Red. The horse that is later known as Secretariat. Apparently, the jockey clubs had wanted different unique names. That's why you always had bizarre names for the horses, but the horse's actual name was something probably fairly mundane. In the first couple races, horses didn't do very good. Why? Wrong jockey. So, change jockeys, and of course the other person who's fairly well known in this movie, beyond, some of the other, you're like, I know that guy, I've seen him like a dozen other movies, is John Malkovich, playing John Malkovich as a horse trainer. He is ridiculously eccentric, because he's not quite crazy, wearing these bizarrely colored hats that normally do not match anything else that he is wearing. He looks like if you were to be a golfer and you were to be dressed by a man who was colorblind. He's got a hat that's like with pink and like maroon on it, while wearing a striped tie that looks like the American flag. But it's John Malkovich. John Malkovich being absolutely crazy. So you've got him being crazy. You've got Diane Lane, who, this is in the 70s now, most women really didn't speak their mind, as being a fairly forceful woman, and essentially helping to really take control of what up to that point in time was an entirely male-dominated field. There are some subplots of her daughters protesting the war in Vietnam. It seemed kind of weird because it showed that her family was doing things while she was gone, but they seem to kind of like just drop that in every now and then to let you know, years actually have gone by since the last time they've checked in with what's going on at the home. So the bulk of it actually is Diane Lane and her going from, like housewife to the person who owns Secretariat, the most dominant horse ever, and being able to do things that no one else had ever done with a horse. And it is kind of cheesy to say it's a heartwarming story, but in lots of ways it is. You know, and that is Disney's Secretariat.